Alrighty, good evening everyone. I'm Eddie Hochschlag. I think we're about ready to go. We might be ready to go on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's kind of struggling there, just getting everybody going. They're kind of clicking on the thing. And alrighty, good evening everyone. Welcome to our health shot tonight. We're going to go over exercise and breathing. I'm going to go up first. Dr. Mark's going to go up second. And Dr. Chip is going to finish us off. So I'm going to firstly talk about more of the emotional section here. And I always find this kind of interesting, especially with the New Year's resolutions coming out. And they always wonder, why is exercise such a struggle? Well, I'm going to tell you why. But first is going to be story time. Everyone loves story time, especially, Coach Ed's learning of how exercise isn't a struggle anymore. I mean, it kind of was. But here's the story. So I grew up playing sports. I had 3 other brothers playing sports and everything. So exercise was one of the things that we did on a day-to-day basis. So we played grade school football. We actually weightlifted a lot. We did a lot of exercise then. We played a little high school football. Of course, we're working out much, much more. And that granted us 5 more years to intensely train harder and harder at a college, playing college football. And during that time, we were constantly working out. I mean, it wasn't a struggle. I mean, we did it all the time. It was sometimes you can kind of say for the collegiate athlete, they're kind of stating that they put like 40 hours in a week. If it's not exercise or working out, it's more on the football field. It doesn't matter. All I'm kind of stating is the fact that we had a very good habit of what we're going on when we're exercising. Well, after the fact that I graduated from high school or college, I got a job that I became a sales representative. It was a very good job and I absolutely loved it. However, during this job, I was sitting in a car for 8 or 9 hours of the day, driving about 300 plus miles every single day. So the difference between that is that I was working out intensely all the time, and it was very easy to work out. But when I was sitting in the car, it was a little bit of a different change there. And what was happening there is what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about when we talk about actually when it comes to exercise and keeping it a habit. And the big thing what's going on there is neuroplasticity. I don't know if you guys have heard this before, but it's the ability of the brain to form and reorganize synaptic connections, especially in response of learning and experiencing. So what was going on here is that there is a little bit of neurons. Well, let's go this way. Let's find it this way. So for instance, I was at college and I had these neurological pathways going on in my brain of what was going on when I was working out all the time, which was great. Loved it, loved the college experience, but when I got this job working for Standard Process, those connections started going down. And when I started working, I started, being in the car. It's hard to work out. It's hard to exercise when you're on the road. There is no football field. There is no weight room. There is nowhere to go. And soon, farther and farther, I seem to getting less and less of these neurological connections of me working out. But I was building more of these neurological connections of being more lazy, finding excuses throughout the day of, I'm too tired to work out, or maybe I'll do it tomorrow kind of thing. You can see I was building more and more of those neurological connections in the sense of me not exercising. So we can look at it as a sense of neuroplasticity as we have sad Coach Ed, but we also have happy Coach Ed. So there's 2 little guys here, 2 different personalities that we're going to be looking at here as it pertains to neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity does it for both of these guys, but sad Coach Ed was thinking in some ways that got him depressed. He's very sad, he's depressed, so when he's thinking of these thoughts, he's driving in his car saying, let's see here, I'm not good enough, or I'm a victim of my life, or I don't know if I can work out tonight kind of thing. That is still getting neurological connections in the brain to allowing sad Coach Eddie to being depressed in a sense. And he'll make up all the excuses. I mean, the brain, when it's wired, that's the whole part of making it a habit. The habit is the neurologically connecting these together. Now, if we want to be changing this from being depressed, always making excuses all the time about when I should work out or not, we can focus on the happy Coach Ed, which happy Coach Ed is motivated. He's created these neurological connections within his brain that allows him to be motivated and confident that he's able to work out in the morning as well as in the evening anytime he wants. It's not a struggle for him. It's completely different because he's made all of those neurological connections in his brain that allows him to just easily go and work out. It's very easy, but we sometimes create these neurological connections that makes it seem like it's a struggle all the time. The big thing we got going on there is the mind itself. And what we find here is I love this thing, and a lot of people get stuck in their own comfort zone. Now, when we're in our own comfort zone, we've got a lot of these neurological connections that make us feel that we're a victim of our lives. Just like I was driving the car, I got home, I was playing this role as if I couldn't do anything about it. Those neurological connections are coming in, and I was finding all the excuses that I can. I was lacking the self-confidence, and I was not allowing myself to be able to work out. Well, that is what's going on with my brain is wired that way, then I'm going to be acting the same way as well. But if we find out how we can actually acquire these new skills, these new teachings to deal with all the challenges and problems of our life, we're starting to wire our brain differently in a sense into more of a motivated, confident person to exercise very easily. Nowadays, I'm this, little happy guy going on over here, more of a growth period. I'm finding my purpose in life, and I'm finding that I can live my dreams. I'm setting new goals, and I'm conquering a lot of the objectives, which was, when I was working for my last job, I had the idea that was conquering me, that I was lazy, I was depressed, I had lack of confidence in a sense. But now I'm looking at it more of a sense of changing my brain in a way by thinking, by acting, by feeling in a much better way that allows me to now work out. I'm pretty much still working roughly the same exact time, but I'm able to enjoy a nice little exercise, stretching, walking, anything down those lines. The main thing here that these guys are the same way, but the fact that their brain are wired a little bit differently of what they got going on within their mind. So I got a really good way of coaching you, to telling you what's going on here, and I got two questions for you. One of is, who do you really want to become? And this next question is actually the same exact question. It's, how do you want to wire your brain? Your brain wired. So, same question, but we're looking at more of a physical sense, and we're looking at more of a practical sense of who you're wanting to become. So if you become the person who you're wanting to be, you're going to wire your brain the same exact way. If you feel like you're a victim of your life, if you make a lot of excuses or anything down those lines, you're going to do the same thing. That's just how it goes. So if we can find ourselves a way of setting those new habits, of becoming the person who you want to be, you're going to wire your brain differently. Your body is going to reflect that in all the ways possible. So that is all I got for you for this one. Up next is Dr. Mark with Breathing and Exercise.
Great. Thanks, Coach Ed. That's going to be hard to beat. My presentation is pretty simple. I think everybody knows how to breathe, right? Well, not really. Most people are breathing too short. They're always panicky. They're short breaths. They're not paying attention. And so breathing is just such an easy technique of working at breathing deeply, which helps you to relax. And again, so many positive things with getting oxygen to the brain and everything else. So just to go over the technique that we use, keeping your tongue at the top of the mouth, inhale through the nose for 4 seconds, then hold for 7 seconds, and then exhale through the mouth for 8 seconds. So it's just a real simple thing, and then you do that 4 breath cycles. You can do it every day, of course. You can do it when you sleep anytime. And I've been telling patients a lot lately when they hear any kind of stressful information, especially if they mistakenly watch the news and they get all wound up, well, just to stop, turn it off and then breathe deeply for the 4 seconds or 4 cycles, and you'll notice things start to calm down right away. Just a real simple thing to do there. The common exercises in our office, we don't try to get into overworking with exercise or overdoing. Just trying to do simple things to help the body to stay in tune with itself. So like stretching is a real good way to help out. The next exercises, I mean, again, it's just, flexion, extension, those kind of things, just to help loosen things up. But do it slowly. You can even breathe and exhale when you do that. And same way with the upper back. You're just doing, rolling the shoulders. We have these on a list we give our patients. So just real simple stretches. You can find these online. They're real easy to do. And shoulders and back and elbows and all kind of things. Real good exercises. Just simple things to help the body to loosen up. And that helps with lymphatic drainage. It helps the muscles to relax. Circulation gets working better. So a lot of things there with stretching. But again, you don't have to go out and buy bands and do all kind of things and go to other things. Go to the gym. You can just do this at home, nice stretching things. And that's really all you really need to do. But you can go to a gym too and do more if you like with the bands. Then common things for the lower back and hips. We use that a lot for people that have sciatica, different problems, again, helping to strengthen up, not only or loosen up the muscles, but strengthen the ligaments too. So the stretching has a dual purpose. That might be, stretch within reason, feet and ankles, too, you could do that. Now for feet and ankles, we try to just move the foot forward and back. A lot of people do the circles. I don't do a lot of that with the ankles because they're really just meant to go forward and back. Try to keep the same physiological motion. Like for the neck, I don't really like to do the rotation. The neck really doesn't do well a lot of times when you do that. So just doing one type of motion at a time to control that motion and do there. The other big exercise we had patients do is just plain old walking. Walking is just one of the simple things. Our bodies are meant to do that. At any age you can walk. And so even if at the winter time you have to get a treadmill or something to walk with, that's just a real simple exercise to do for a certain amount of minutes. And we try to alternate, like walking one day and then stretching the next. So you're not doing the same exercise every day. So how do you get that to work? So that's all for me. Pretty simple. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Chip. I'm sure he'll have lots of great information. So, Dr. Chip. There we
All
go.
right. Okay, yep, so I'm Dr. Chip, and we'll keep going with exercise and breathing. Now I'd just like to go back through here. Look at that bottom lip. Okay, so exercise. Again, we'll start out here. Walking, always important, like Dr. Mark said, is that walking is just a natural movement. It's so easy for us to do. And even if it's 5 to 10 minutes a day, it's very important to get that circulation going, the lymph to drain, and it's just overall a very good workout, especially to really just get out of our heads and really just help us to get back in our bodies here. Again, natural movements, like we said, walking, but don't be forcing anything of weird habits or weird movements. Again, if you're going under a trained professional, that's very good for that cause or that reason. But just make sure that you're doing some natural movements. And then also is, what do you like to do? Sometimes we're forced to do things, or we force ourselves to do things that we don't necessarily like to do. So if it's a sport or anything, such as like tennis or golf or anything like that, it's always better to do those things that you like to do rather than forcing yourself to do something that you don't want to do. And there's little different things about that too, like Coach Eddie explained, is that we want to make sure that we're building those habits so it's easier for us to do those things. So how I like to think of it is that when we start any exercise program or we do any activity, why are we doing it? Or kind of really reframing our mindset. So typically we think we think we have to do it. We think that if we don't do it, that we're going to have this issue and this issue. So go from I have to I get to. That's a big one. I think that we get caught up in this having to run a certain amount of miles or having to do this. But if you get to that point where you get to do it, a lot of people in their older ages or even younger ages, they don't even get to be able to do those things. And so just actually taking appreciation of what you get to do is very beneficial. And then even going from what exercise you want to do or have to do to why you're doing it. Again, exercise is good for us. It's good to move our bodies. It's a healthy thing for everybody to do. And so the why is more of maybe to be able to carry your grandkids someday or walk down the aisle or anything like that. Something that's very important for you later on in life. So we'll go to breathing now. Now, I put a couple fun facts here. The first one says, the lungs are the biggest waste removal engine in the body, accounting for the removal of 70% of body waste in the form of carbon dioxide in the air we exhale. So again, that's very important, is that we tend to think of different things about health, but we don't really think about our breathing very much. And breathing is so important because you can't live a couple minutes without it. So we want to make sure that we're doing that effectively, and we'll kind of explain here too, is that why we get into that tendency of not breathing so well. So, your emotions change the way you breathe. Research has shown that our breathing pattern can influence the emotion we experience. So what is that saying? Again, when we are in a certain state of emotions, that we tend to make a breathing pattern. So you can see is that, so even our own breathing can tend to make us feel a certain way. So if we're stuck in this kind of a thought-feeling cycle, that if we breathe more shallow, we tend to be more worrying, we tend to be more fearful or angry about something. And so that's why if you control your breathing, if you're able to do that, it helps you open up yourself to be more of a relaxed state. And then it can go the other way too. So we'll kind of talk about that. So why breathing? Why is it important? Well, as a chiropractor, I like to balance out our bodies and balance out the nervous systems especially. And that's what breathing actually helps allow to do too. There's a lot of research, a lot of science into that. But I'll keep it kind of short and kind of relative here. So when our nervous systems are in an overdrive state, we're in more of this called sympathetic state, more of our fight or flight state. And that's when we have short, shallow breaths. Now again, that's not a bad thing. Again, if you are running miles on end, or you're training for a marathon or a big intense workout or whatever, you're not going to be doing a bunch of CrossFit weight or running for an extended period of time and doing slow, deep breaths. That's just not how the body's functioning. It's able to do those things because of this sympathetic state. Now, the parasympathetic state is more when we're doing those long, slow, deep breaths. And it's just helping us to balance out these systems. And so even you'll notice is that when you practice that long, slow and controlled breathing, that even the emotional state will come to more of a balance there too. And so that's always important, is that you don't want to, or even during the day, you can find yourself breathing a certain way. And when you're breathing very shallow, or you feel uptight or tense, that's a good time to say, okay, I'm at this state, or what emotion did arise to make me feel or breathe that way? And you can go back the same way there too. And a lot of times, again too, is that takes a lot of our energy away. So when we're able to really control our breathing to get back to that natural state of being of health, then we're able to help ourselves in that way too. Yeah, I think that was it for me. And again, just more basically saying is that breathing is so important, is that we cannot live without it, and that we do not, we kind of take it for granted, and that our breath, our bodies are amazing, complex, you would say, machines. And if we respect our bodies, we'd be knowing or learning how to breathe appropriately for each situation that we're in. And so again, that's it for us here. Thank you for watching. Always fun to see comments here too. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Parler, Brighteon, or YouTube. Natural Health Quincy IL. Please subscribe to our email list if you haven't yet. We're located at 2000 Jefferson Street in Quincy, Illinois here, and our phone number is 217-228-2040. Again, thanks for watching. Hope you at least gained something out of this or learn something. But have a great rest of the day and take care.